Good.
Have a seat. We're going to have a short class.
I was just speaking to my sister.
Nice. I think your flashlight is on. Your flashlight. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
I'm not doing this.
Let me know when we're
All
ready.
right, you're live.
All right. Beautiful. So tonight's topic, we're going to speak about the Tzimtzum. The original Tzimtzum, the first contraction. So in the last classes we explained about the four worlds and the goal, the general Hishtashlut. We spoke about the general order of the worlds, how they descend from the purest state of Atzilus, the world of unity, the world of oneness, going down to the world of Bria, which is the beginning of Yesh, the beginning of individuality and separation and feeling of a self, into the world of Yetzirah, which is more of a Yesh, half Yesh, half Ayin, and then the world of Asiya, which is majority Yesh, up to the physical, down to the physical Asiya, which is the physical matter in the world we're in, which is called majority evil and minority good. In this world, the majority of things are separated and feel separated, while the minority is the light of truth, which shows on the goodness in this world. And the goal, of course, is in this world to overcome and to bring the good over the bad and transform the darkness into light, to transform the lies of the world and the separation of the world into unity, into oneness, and making a yichud with Hashem in this world. And Edira betachtinim, as we say, as we call it, a dwelling place for Hashem in the lowest realms, to reveal Hashem in the lowest levels. We did very general. We spoke about the most. Now let's go a little earlier in the process of Ishtashilus, which leads to even the whole Atzis. How do these worlds even come? How do we come from complete simple oneness of God, God's essence, to worlds, to rays, to dimensions, to emotions, to feelings, to intellect, down to us, to this physical world, and to all of the chaos and all of the separations in this world. In other words, in a simple question, how do we come from simple unity to a separated world? And a separated world that is in every direction we look, there's another separation. How do we come from simple unity to the diversity of where we are? So this starts originally with the concept called Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum means contraction. And there's many Tzimtzum, and there's infinite contractions. There's contractions from one world to the next world, from one sphere to the next sphere. Every dimension has a contraction that it contracts its light to come down to the next world and expand on a lower level. So there's always a start, a beginning, an expansion of that light, and a drawing down of the light, and then a revelation of that, which is Yud Ke Vav Ke. There's a contraction, expansion, drawing down, expansion, contraction, and it always contracts in order to reveal itself to the lower world. Just like when you want to say something, you want to express a feeling, you have to contract yourself in order to reveal something you want to communicate out to the world, to someone else. So too, we represent, in a way of a mashal, what happens above, in the hishtashus, in the order above. God contracts His light to reveal His light. Now all this is in the state of hishtashus, in the chain-like descent of all the worlds from above down below. But all this starts with the very first beginning, the very first contraction called the Tzimtzum Harishan, the first contraction. Now what's the first contraction? This is a Chiddush of the Arizal. It's not spoken about before the Ari, although it's hinted in Kabbalah and Zohar. It's a Chiddush of the Arizal here in Tzvas, where he speaks about the nature of this contraction. And in short, quoting, the Arizal writes, his student, Rabbi Chaim Vital writes, based on his teacher's student, the Ari, that at the beginning, there was just pure infinite light filling up the space. Space as a level. Filling up the space. And when it arose in His will to create a world, to emanate and reveal a creation, a world, He put Himself aside to make space to create the world. He made a void space. These are more or less the words written over there. In Eitz Chaim, Rabbi Chaim Vital writes that there was a removal of the light, or God, the light, as we'll see, in order to make a spiritual void, a womb, as we call, spiritual womb, where now God could plant the world, and the world can now manifest itself and exist as an other. Without this contraction, there is no other, so to speak. There's just simple oneness. God removed His light in order to give space to another. Now, what's the nature of that tzimtzum? And the tzimtzum has been a discussion for generations, starting from the students of the Arizal themselves, because the Arizal brought it down and he explained it in a very concise way. And the students had questions. What is the nature of the tzimtzum? Is it a literal tzimtzum? Did God actually remove himself? Or it wasn't an actual removal, it was like he removed himself. Or you may also ask, is it a tzimtzum in him? Or is it a tzimtzum in his light? And what I just mentioned right now are four, very deep, but four levels or four opinions on the tzimtzum, based on the Arizal students. And the discussion went all the way to the times of the Baal Shem Tov, where the Baal Shem Tov made a revolution and explained how the tzimtzum is not literal, and where does the tzimtzum exist, as we'll cover, God willing, next class or two. That what is the Baal Shem Tov's approach of the tzimtzum, which revolutionized the whole entire world. That is one of the foundations of Chassidus, foundation of our emunah in Hashem, to believe in God, is to know the real nature of the tzimtzum. And there was also different machlekes back in the times of the Baal Shem Tov, whether the tzimtzum was literal or not. Where did it happen? We're not even going to all the depth and the thickness of this. It's a very deep discussion for people that are way wiser than us. But we do have with our tradition, the Baal Shem Tov's path, which is the path that's been universal today, that the Baal Shem Tov's opinion and the Baal Shem Tov's approach to the tzimtzum is the way we pretty much believe in Hashem. But I'll just mention the four opinions just for you to have a background for a second. So the first opinion is that the tzimtzum is literal and it happened in his essence. What does that mean? Chavre, what's up? The tzimtzum is literal and in his essence. What does that mean?
Tzimtzum is literal as his essence?
The tzimtzum is literal and it happened within his essence.
It means he really did remove himself.
What?
It means he really removed himself from
Exactly. It means that God removed his essence to make a void space that where he is not, where his essence is removed. Now this has been, pushed away because it's basically saying that God removed his essence. How can we say such a thing? God removed. Now, of course, God is almighty. Can God create a rock that he can't pick up? All right, it's a big question. Well, God could also remove himself, so to speak. But based on the Zohar and based on many, many sources, we see that Hashem, there is no place void of him. Hashem is Shlemusa de Kula. He's the most complete one. Hashem is whole and complete with the most simplest essence. To say that God removed his essence is basically terming God with conditions and saying that he could remove a part of him and decrease or increase. So we obviously remove this notion that a literal tzimtzum in God's essence. The other opinion says it was a literal tzimtzum, an actual removal, but not in his essence, in his light. Now, in Chassidus, Kabbalah, we speak a lot about the essence and the light. What's the difference? The essence is the being itself, and the light is the reflection, the emanation of this being, of the essence. So there's you, for example. There's who you are deep inside, and then there's your reflection, which could be your name, your energy, your character. This is your reflection, your light that comes out of you, and this reflects your essence. But it's not your essence. It's a ray of your essence. So to say that there was a removal in God's essence, we said it can't be. To say that there was a removal in the light, okay, sounds interesting, that in the reflection, in the reflective light called the Or and Seif, over there was a literal tzimtzum. But there was an actual removal of the light to make this void space. The third opinion says that the tzimtzum is not literal, a non-literal tzimtzum in his essence. What does that mean, a non-literal tzimtzum? What would that mean in your thoughts? It's a non-literal tzimtzum.
Analogy almost, example, or whatever, analogy.
Okay. Like it wasn't removed at all, but it was like it's removed. Or, okay.
Nothing was removed at all, but it looks like to us that it was removed.
Okay, good point. Very good. Very good. So the idea of a non-literal contraction would mean it wasn't an actual removal, but it's a concealment. Like you said, it's a concealment And it's such a concealment that it seems like, from our perspective, that he's been, or something has been removed. It seems like it's been removed. And that is the point over here, the nekuda of where the tzimtzum really starts to build itself in our understanding, is that it's not a literal tzimtzum, meaning there was a contraction, but not an actual removal, a concealment. Now, you may conceal yourself with garments, with things upon you. You are exactly where you are. Nothing is removed, nothing is changed from you, only that now you've put on veils and layers to cover who you are. And so in that way higher, Hashem concealed himself to such an extent that it feels like he's not here. But there's two ways you can understand this non-literal tzimtzum. It could be a non-literal tzimtzum in his essence, or a non-literal tzimtzum in his light, which means, what's the difference? A non-literal tzimtzum in his essence would mean that he concealed his essence to such a degree to make us feel as if the essence is not there. Essence is there, but the light, the essence has been so concealed that it feels like the essence has been removed because of the great concealment. But this, according to the Baal Shem Tov, wasn't enough because it was concealing essence. And if you want to be in a relationship with essence, you want to be in contact with essence, you need to have access to the essence. If essence is so concealed to the point that it's like it's not here, then who are we in a relationship with? Some imaginary essence that we can't see and feel and never could have access to. So that means that the tzimtzum, the non-literal tzimtzum, cannot be in the essence. Comes the Baal Shem Tov and says, Chevra, let me tell you the real nature of the tzimtzum. The real nature of the tzimtzum is tzimtzum lav kipshutoy verak be'or, which means the tzimtzum is non-literal and only in the light, which means that the concealment that conceals the light completely in a way that makes it feel as if it's not here, only happened in the light and the reflection of God. Which means, in other words, that the essence of God is here. The light of God is also present. Nothing changed. God's essence didn't change, and God's light didn't change. What changed? The revelation of his light. And now God concealed, that's what the language over there says, he removed his lights to the side. That means he concealed his light to such a degree that it's like it was removed, not literally removed, like it was removed, and made it feel, from our perspective, from the other, that now there's a void space where his light is not revealed. But now where his essence is not revealed, in fact, the Alter Rebbe says, the Ma'ar, the luminary, is Bisgalus, it's revealed everywhere. Which is why children know there's a God. You ask any single child, is there a God? They're going to say yes in a second. Whether they're religious or not religious. Because children believe with simple faith, they are in touch with the essence. There's no such thing as a child saying, oh, I don't believe in God, or I'm atheist. It's just not true, because the children are just simple faith. They know this God, they know there's and they pray. Children pray from the earliest they can ever think. They don't know who they're praying to, but they're praying. They're davening. So says the Alter Rebbe, essence is revealed everywhere. Now you may say, well, so why can't I see essence? If essence is revealed, why can't I see essence? So number one, the reason why we can't see essence is because the light, which is the reflection of essence, which is the definition. That's what a light is. Light is a definition. It's the manifestation of the essence is concealed. It's not removed. It's concealed. It's concealed to such a degree that it makes it feel like it's not here. But the light, and if light is concealed, then it's harder for us to have the revelation of essence. It's harder for us to understand and to feel and to visualize essence because the light is concealed. It's like just you with someone else. Their essence is there, but they're not communicating to you. Their light, their communication is concealed from you. So yeah, they're here, they're present. But you don't know the nature of their essence because they're not talking to you. They're concealed. They're busy with something else. They're not present. So in that way, so to speak, Hashem, his essence is present. It's right here, it's everywhere, it's revealed in fact. But it's not expressed because his light, which is his speech, his communication, his revelation, is concealed in a way that makes us feel like he's not here, like the light is not here. But really it is present, it is just concealed. That means the whole creation is a matter of concealment and revelation. And the concealment was in such a way that it makes us feel that we're in a void space. Now the void is not literal. It's like He's not here. It's like the light that reveals God is concealed. That is the power of the Tzimtzum. And the point number 2 is that why can't we feel God? Why can't we see God? It says in Chassidus that God is a mitzius it's a built-in nimtza. God is a non-existential existence. That's what Chassidus calls Hashem, essence. Non-existential existence. He exists. He's called the mechuyav hamitzius. God is the ultimate existence. But it's not an existence the way we understand what existence is. We are efsher hamitzius. We are possible existences. We may not exist. Who says we have to exist? We may or we may not. We have a beginning, we have an end. We are possible existences. We're not the ultimate. God is the ultimate existence. And God's existence is very much different than our existence. So therefore, from our existence and the limitations of our existence, it's almost, I'm saying almost because there is a way for us to communicate and to have godly revelation, to connect with Hashem's essence. But it's almost impossible for our existence to connect with the non-existential existence, the ultimate existence, which is God's essence itself. So essence is revealed. The question is, did it reveal to us? Are we aware of that revelation? And we could be aware. That's the goal of Chassidus. That's the goal of Kabbalah, is to open up our eyes, our vision, to communicate and to connect and to see and reveal with Atzmus himself, God's very essence. So it's like the ant on the floor, and you are walking. Does the ant see you? Only if you're trying to kill it, it's going to run away. But does it see who you are? Maybe your feet. It doesn't see you. So according to the perspective of the ant, does it mean that you don't exist? I don't see the human being. Well, there's no such thing as human beings. I don't see it. But it's here, and the human being is revealed, fully, completely present, and existing. Just it's a whole different existence than the existence of the ant. And you can't compare the ant's existence to the human being's existence. Because the whole quality of life is completely different. Although they're both present and here. And in a similar way, Hashem's essence, the ultimate existence, is present. And he's not just present, he's revealed. Just that the contraction of his light is to such a degree that it makes like he's completely concealed. And therefore there's a void space for us to exist in that void space and to feel, in our experience, that there's no other but me. There's no existence. There's no other. Even other human beings that we do know, right? At least as much as we can understand that other humans do exist from our perspective, there's still in our own mind nothing but me, because it's everything is in the mind. And so you could ask, right? You could ask, is life real or not? How do we know we really exist? How do we know we're not living in some crazy dream? And all the questions you may ask, philosophical questions, right? Because we have our own perspective, and all we are is our own mind and our own universe. We're nothing but who we are. And therefore man was created yachid, unique in his own way. Like there's no one else but him. And that's because we are rooted in the ultimate yachid, God's essence, and nothing but him. And he made it in such a way that now there's many mashalim, there's many examples, many analogies of reflection of who he is. But the truth is that within all the diversity of all the worlds and all the human beings and every single dimension is only but him. Because the secret of understanding, to the most of our understanding, the whole relationship between God and the world is the understanding the side of the tzimtzum, the contraction, which is God concealing his expression, his light, to make it as if he's concealed, as if there's a void space, as if he removed himself to make us feel as others. So in other words, we are the contracted, forgotten spark, so to speak, ray of God that is now becoming conscious again of who we are essentially, which is God himself. We're remembering. That's what tshuva is to remember who we are and to nullify ourselves back to source, but now with consciousness, because that's the chiddush of the tzimtzum. The tzimtzum now makes a reality that there's another, so to speak, another other than Hashem. But really this other is ultimately an expression, an extension of God's light that has been so evolved in the evolution of contraction and separation and the tzimtzumim until we now feel ourselves as an other. In order for this other to reconnect with source, in order for the ray, the lost, forgotten, far away ray comes back now, and we have consciousness in that little ray. There's consciousness in the world. In our bodies, we're conscious. And when we come back to the consciousness of source, we're now reuniting with our essence, with God himself, realizing that all that we are and all that everything is an extension and array of God that is ultimately one with God. That's Mashiach, to realize that we're going to see God. We're going to visualize and see Hashem in the physical world, realizing that physicality and all of the worlds and all the human beings and every plant and every animal is just an expression of God's vibration creating the world that is just one with him and revealing God's oneness. And that's the koyach of the Tzimtzum. That it's and that's the Chiddush the Baal Shem Tov. There's much more to be spoken about. We're going to go into the next class, God willing, next week, deeper. But the idea is, the foundation is the Baal Shem Tov says that's a non-literal Tzimtzum. That means that God didn't actually remove himself. He didn't even actually remove his light. His light has been concealed to such a degree that the ray feels like an other than source. But when in truth the ray is just an expression of source, it's an amshacha from source, and now the goal is that the ray does teshuva. Tashuv hey, it returns to the hey, it returns to the light, it returns to source, but now consciously. Now that we grasp God, we have delight and pleasure in the rays of God, and ultimately in the essence of God. And that's the ultimate fusion of the relationship between us and Hashem. Essence and the rays, that it's a love story, essentially. Hashem is saying that you got to, I'm individuating, so to speak, non-literally, individuating a part of myself in order to reconnect with myself, with God's essence, in a conscious, loving way. So it's God being in the relationship with himself, so to speak, but in a real way, because we really exist. And we really are part of God. But yeah, we really exist as others. And it seems to be paradoxical, but that is the chiddush, and the beauty of it is that God makes it such a reality because of his deep desire and crave to have a dwelling place below and to be in a relationship with us and to be in a relationship with an other that's going to seek for him and look for him and be in love with him and find him. And he can bestow this goodness and this love to the other. Together we fuse together in a full yichud, and this yichud, this love, this relationship, this intimacy is the purpose of creation, which is why the world and all of the world is seeking for one thing: loving intimacy. It's what everyone wants. Every single human being, every single created, they want life, which is love, which is unity, which is becoming one with Source. It's ultimately what we want, long, and search for. And this is really the story of the Tzimtzum in short. And going next class, we're going to go deeper into the Tzimtzum according to the Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov, and especially Chassidus Chabad, the Alter Rebbe, who brings down the Tzimtzum in our Chabad, in our Moichin, in our consciousness, in a way that we can meditate and relate and understand the Tzimtzum in ourselves, in a way that we could also make that void space within and give birth to a new world and reveal our essence and to be in a relationship with God's essence, panim bepanim, face to face, which means inwardness to God's inwardness.